Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
40 years at sea and you end up being a straight man for a smart-ass comedian.
This is episode 267, recorded September 10th, 2024.
I love cursing.
Gruesome Magazine.
Some people might call that cursing, but...
Cussing.
That's more, that's cussing. That's not really cursing.
Yeah.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt and I will tackle another classic or not-so-classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. Joining me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, actress and YouTuber.
Oh, ooh la la! You totally did it, Jeff. That's why I like Jeff.
Why?
Well, for many reasons, but you actually listen to something when I say it. I don't know, that kind of matters.
Well, that's not what Chad says.
Well, she's a lot prettier than I am, so I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you listen to her and not me.
That's a big reason.
Well, I think a big reason is maybe Chad talks out of his booty and doesn't always mean everything he says, so sometimes it's hard to tell. So.
Crystal.
Hey, now I gotta find a way to. All right. Also with us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist, co-host of Decades of Horror, the all of them, and getting ready for the Wreak Havoc Horror Film Festival.
And Raging Potty Mouth.
By the way, too.
Let me ask you a question.
That's taking place in Greensboro, right?
Nope, Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Winston-Salem.
Marketplace Cinemas.
Don't listen to me. So you're doing okay, bud?
Great films coming up. Yeah,
good film.
Pretty good.
Excellent. Last but not least is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s, published author.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, wait. It doesn't look like he's got it ready. There you go.
And all around nice guy. How you doing?
I'm doing much better. So Crystal and I went off to Dragon Con. We had a great time. It's hard not to have a good time at Dragon Con, but came back with more than just happy memories. We both came down with a case of COVID. Now she's
I thought you were going to say you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be so funny.
We go to the rabbit hutch, and I guess
the bunny hutch. The bunny hutch.
The bunny hutch. Yeah.
They used to tell me you've
done that before, Bill. We should do it.
If you hang out in bars, you're going to come down drunk. If you hang out in cons, you're going to come down pregnant. Was that
pregnant or with COVID?
Yeah.
I saw it on a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling better, but I may cough occasionally, and my voice may get froggy.
Okay.
So let me tell you, I feel so dumb too, Bill, because I was like, I lost my voice from screaming at goth night, and then I had this major headache. Two things that were like number one and number two for that. And
you had a plausible non-COVID explanation. We were up all night at a rave concert,
and I was
the horror track, an amazing concert. Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows was there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Great music, good stuff.
That's awesome.
DJ Ichabod.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a really good time.
I love. Yeah.
And then the next day we felt a little run down, but why wouldn't we?
Like you would. Yeah. Like normal.
And oh well.
I'm glad you're both here.
Thank you.
And
who's he listening to now?
Still kicking for now.
Yeah.
For now.
Decades of Horror and Gruesome Magazine are partnering with Play Now Media on several of their channels. And in fact, Decades of Horror of the 70s and the 80s are on the Wicked Horror TV channel, which you can subscribe to that channel or any of their channels for free. But you will get ads and you'll miss some of the premium content. But if you want to pay the monthly fee, you will get access to everything, even without ads. So check them out. They got cool stuff. We say this all the time, but they really do. It's like when I'm at a loss, for what to watch, I just go scrolling and go, well, that looks like a good movie, or that looks like a terrible movie. Either way, I should probably see that.
Yep.
Everything. They've got everything. And they warn you. In the synopsis, they'll say, trashy movie warning. Which is kind of nice. You know what you're looking for. Anyway, check them out. On this podcast, we start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions, some taglines, and then we move on down the road.
Isn't that a Lionel Richie song?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was something from The Wiz or something.
Ease on down.
Oh my
that's
gosh,
Ease
The
on Down the Road.
Wiz.
Ease on down the road. Okay. Then we ease on. I got to start saying it the other way, though. Anyway, our topic tonight is Death Ship. Released in 1980, directed by Alvin Rakoff, written by John Robbins, not really. Story by Jack Hill and David P. Lewis, screenwriters, really. Cast includes George Kennedy, Richard Crenna, Sally Ann Howes, Nick Mancuso, Victoria Burgoyne, Saul Rubinek. Production company is Astral Bellevue Pathé, Bloodstar Productions, Lamitus, and Canadian Film Development Corporation. Distributor is Avco Embassy Pictures. It was filmed in Dauphin Island, Alabama, the Gulf of Mexico, and Quebec City in Canada. The filming dates, June 4th to July 16th, 1979. And the release date was March 7th, 1980. The budget was $4.5 million Canadian dollars, which comes out to about $3.9 million at that time. Domestic box office, $1,750,000.
Womp womp.
Synopsis. A mysterious, ghostly freighter rams and sinks a modern-day cruise ship, whose survivors climb aboard the freighter and discover that it is a World War II Nazi torture vessel. And there's said vessel. Yeah, no kidding. Oh, Lordy. Okay. Well, time for
Who
first
picked this
impressions.
mess?
Yeah. And who picked this is Bill Mulligan.
All around nice guy.
And I have absolutely no excuse because I actually saw this. I was one of the apparently few who went out to see it. I remember I was in St. Louis. I was going to college at the time. It came out, had a pretty good poster. I guess I'd seen a couple shots from Fangoria. I had nothing better to do. I wasn't going to study for my physics test. That's for darn tootin'. So I went out and saw it, and I didn't think it was very good. And here I am 40 years later with the chance to pick from all these movies. And I was like, maybe I was too hard on it. Maybe I was too stressed out about that physics test I should have been studying for. Maybe it wasn't as bad. Wikipedia says it's considered a cult classic. I'm going to give it another shot. Nope. It's exactly how I remember it. Not good. Not scary. Not good. It's got some good actors, but they're not given a whole lot to do. It's got a couple of good scenes, but that doesn't make up for the fact that it's, it isn't scary at all when you see like a ship and the steering wheel turns by itself. I've had scarier things happen to me walking into my kitchen where like suddenly a cupboard door will slide open for no reason. No, it's usually a cat. But that was more terrifying than any of these ghost effects.
For a reason.
Death Ship.
Actually, for a reason.
It's just, boy, I don't know what I was thinking. It's exactly how I remember it. And I didn't remember it fondly, and I'll never watch it again.
I think there's a moral to that story. The guy that skipped a physics test to see Death Ship and became a science teacher.
But I didn't become a physicist, which probably would have paid better.
But science.
So
science
thanks for nothing, Death Ship.
Don't tell me. Don't differentiate between sciences. All right. Crystal, what about you?
Yes.
Had you seen
Okay, so yes, I saw this just in January. And I only know that because I saw it before we went on the cruise, and I was trying to watch films, and I was thinking about doing a list of like cruise ship or ship films, horror films. And I decided not to do the list because I didn't find enough good films. Um, Here's the thing about this film. It's not bad. Okay. Not really, but it is not great at all. And it's not so bad it's good. It's preposterous and silly, but not so preposterous and silly that it's good. It's just honestly, it's also kind of boring. I really like George Kennedy. Isn't that the lead dude?
Yeah.
I like him as an actor, but his character is so unlikable. It's just laughable. He's just so weird and off. Even before they get on, the ship. So it's like I didn't like anybody though. I mean, I guess, you're really supposed to root for the family. And sure, okay, they're fine, but there is nothing compelling about this. And that's what makes it not successful, in my opinion. And it is a drudgery, like, to watch this. Like, watching this again because of this, I was like, oh yeah, okay, oh yeah, because it's just kind of boring. I mean, and it's so, oh God, even like the bathtub scene with the blood, which would normally be one of my favorite kind of scenes, I just hated. I just really did. She was acting ridiculous. And just the whole way it was like done, and him trying to open the door. That dude reminds me of like Thomas Jane for some reason, by the way, that Mancuso dude. But like, yeah, it's very unmemorable too. It's just I don't know. I wish I could pinpoint exactly.
Well, I think you're summing this up perfectly.
Yeah, it's like the quality, and when I say it's not that bad, I mean the quality is there and the actors are decent. It's just just does nothing for me. So yeah, I don't recommend watching this, but I do recommend watching it at least once because I believe in watching all 80s horror films at least once.
Long live the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, Chad.
I can pinpoint it.
Oh, good.
Right after the credits ran. I have a couple of theories about this movie. I think a couple of guys that never produced a movie before in their life, maybe, said, hey, you know what? My buddy is the shipyard. He runs the shipyard down there where they just let old derelict ships float around, on the dock. Let's go make a movie. We don't have a script. We'll just write a movie around it. We'll make it. There's nobody on the ship. We'll make it about ghosts. That way we don't have to show anybody on the ship. And I think that's what they did, because despite the wonderful cast that they had, I love all these cast members. I've loved them forever. Nick Mancuso, George Kennedy, love him. Richard Crenna, I love all those guys. Despite that, this movie is Crystal nailed it. It is a drudgery. And it just wasn't scary. It just wasn't scary. And I don't care how frozen you keep a dead body, it's not going to look as fresh as the ones hanging up in the freezer on that ship that 40 some years later. I'm sorry. It's just not. It just was so unrealistic, and so Nick Mancuso was so over the top with some of his "I'm in pain" emoting. It was a horrible thing to behold, and so I'm glad Bill said he's never going to watch it again, because that means we'll never probably have to watch it again, unless 10 years from now, if we're still doing this, Bill goes, you know what? Let's give it one more chance.
Yeah, come on, you were too harsh.
I had COVID. Maybe I wasn't thinking straight. Something like that. So this is not a good one.
Thank
Now,
you.
Jeff, on the other hand,
Now, with a dissenting opinion, the cheese stands alone.
I actually
Oh,
kinda
really?
liked it.
You did?
Well, there's
Really?
major problems with it, obviously,
he's
but
trying to justify buying the Blu-ray. That's what it is.
no, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
I didn't. I buy enough that I'll be happy to take credit for, but I'm not taking credit for ones I didn't buy. So
Mhm.
this is one, and I'm not even sure there was one out there. I don't remember. I didn't look. But so yeah, it's got major problems. It's not scary. Seeing a ship cruising, barely cruising,
Oh, yeah.
playing pounding music. That's just not it's not scary. But and there was a lot of that. But I thought the scenes in the torture ship were creepy. The stuff that they did, I thought, like the movie, the blood shower. I liked the blood shower. I thought the way she was bouncing around was it.
Well, I
creeped me
could
out.
see why you liked her bouncing around there, Jeff.
No. It was like
I
it was
keep
so
seeing this
frantic.
pattern, Jeff.
It was so frantic and convulsive, that, it just seemed, like supernatural kind of. And the woman that was watching the kids that seemed to have a crush on George Kennedy's character. And by the way, I know I'm going to do this at least once. Stop me if I say ghost ship instead of death ship.
Oh, yeah.
Much better
Mhm.
movie.
Oh, way better.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I agree.
I
Mhm.
think for me, the big problem, I think it was a major mistake making George Kennedy's character such an asshole right from the start.
Yeah.
I agree.
Why not make
Yes.
him a lovable, affable guy, which he can play,
hmm
and then turn into an asshole when he's possessed by the
Yes.
Nazi
Mhm.
ghost. But he's just an asshole right from day one. So there's no,
Right.
don't
Now he's a
know.
Nazi asshole. Really.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
not an arc.
Yep.
That was the big thing that bothered me. And I don't know. The whole, God, it was a really lame cruise ship too.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell they didn't have the money. There was like maybe 30 people in that party room, when
Or
they
more.
he had to, anyway. So anyway, yeah, I kind of enjoyed it, but a lot of the stuff you're saying is absolutely true. I didn't think Kennedy actually, I do like him as an actor usually. And I just watched this afternoon, I watched Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. He is awesome in that.
hmm
And he plays a bastard. In this one, he's a wooden bastard,
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know what the deal was about it. I guess they wanted him to act military and rigid or something. I don't know. Anyway.
He was busy thinking about firing his agent, probably.
Yeah. Well, they didn't give him anything to do. I mean, you could see, I could see a premise here. He's a guy who's being put out to pasture. The sea is his life. He loves his ship, and now he's not going to do it anymore. He gets on this ship, and if we could somehow see that the ship is seducing him into becoming a captain, that he can be a captain forever and
Right.
all. That'd
Right.
be cool.
Okay.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, there had to be like a ghost that we actually see, like a ghostly Nazi who's whispering in his ear, doing something. We don't get anything.
Well, the voices are all in German, and they don't give us any
I don't
subtitles.
speak German.
We don't know what the hell
No.
they're saying. I hear his
Saying
name
anything.
a couple of times. That's about it.
And here's another thing. Here's one of the things that irritates me, and this irritates me a lot about this kind of film. So the premise is this is a Nazi torture ship. The people who are on this ship, the people who ran it, were the personification of evil, and they are damned for all time. I'm with that.
Yes.
Well, what's their punishment? They get to keep on killing and torturing people for all
Right.
time? That doesn't
Right.
sound like being damned for all time.
Yeah.
That sounds like giving them what they want. I don't even get the premise.
Well, it is the director's only horror film, so it
Good.
may not have been. I mean, Jack Hill should have, and this is how it always goes too. Because did they actually use his script
Who knows?
as is? We don't know.
Hmm.
We don't have any way of knowing that at this point. Okay,
That
well,
kill usually does better work than this.
but I'm telling you, I did enjoy some of the scenes where in the ship where they're running up and down those corridors and there was creepy stuff going on in the rooms, and I just felt like that stuff creeps me out. Was
I
I
wish
scared?
I
I wasn't
I wish I
scared,
felt the same thing.
but I
ugh.
had some.
It should be
suspense,
scary,
and
'cause-
I was okay. I was okay with Mancuso's. Chad was calling it overacting. Well, it was. He went totally over the top, but I kind of bought into it, and there was a nice little. When he first gets on the ghost ship, the death ship, he looks down in that whatever that hold was with water in it, and he gets a flash of what's going to happen to him later.
Yeah,
which I thought that was kind of cool, but little things like that. All right. Well, that means, everybody, it's now time for Taglines with Chad.
There's no taglines for this.
As played by Chad, his own self.
Okay,
Fire when ready.
tagline number 1. What in the living hell is going on around here? Oh, I'm sorry. What in the living hell is on board?
Okay.
What in tarnation?
Those who survive the ghost ship are better off dead, but this isn't the ghost ship.
What is that? What?
We're talking about
death
another
ship.
movie.
It's the
Wow.
death ship, yes.
You're right.
Out of a sea of endless terror, sharks, man of war, jellyfishes and that kind of thing, into a world of eternal damnation.
Okay.
Eternal.
okay.
Eternal. That's
Yeah.
the only kind.
Ugh.
There's no temporary damnation, I don't think. Is there? I don't know.
It felt like it for an hour
Seasonal.
and a half.
Seasonal damnation.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
sure. One more. This will be the winner.
Oh, okay. I'm sure.
According to my calculations, it's not just
Oh,
a
no.
ship, it's a killing machine.
Okay.
Well,
Oh, I
Even the
scared
dog hated it.
And by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, we thank you all for showing up at Chad's place.
oh wow,
What? Wait, what? What?
Right next to the drugs and liquors.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh. Okay. But what's that?
That's from a movie we did on Classic Era.
Oh, okay. I
It's
was like,
it's just
Well,
too
wait.
good to only use once. That's all.
I was like,
Or
what
maybe
is it
not,
I'm
I don't
missing?
know.
Oh, that neighborhood used to be a great place, and then
Yeah.
Chad opened up a business and
Yep.
straight to hell.
Brought in all the riffraff.
And that's been Taglines for Chad.
Chad's our hero, cool and
Oh, God, I
rad.
forgot
With
about
him
that.
reading taglines, they can't be that bad.
You know how many people come up to me now or message me and go, "You're cool and rad."
No, they don't.
they
That would
do.
be so funny. What? Oh,
It
I'm
is- they
sorry.
do.
They do.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
But
crazy.
you are cool and rad.
Well, there you go.
You're cool and
Yeah.
rad, Chad. I'm sure they're not meaning it in a wholesome way.
What is wrong with being cool and rad? It's so 80s.
Nothing. I think it's cool
Nothing.
because I am cool
Yeah.
and I am rad.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
a coincidence that it was the only thing
Yeah,
she could
you
find
are.
that rhymes with Chad. It's like, let's see.
Well, that's-
he's,
Yeah.
cool
Bad.
and rad,
Yeah. How about bad and
Bad.
sad,
Oh,
Bad.
okay.
Tad.
Baghdad.
Lad.
Ooh. Baghdad, cheese and rice. Ooh, woof. Yeah, that's
I hope you go to Baghdad.
yeah, I know. It's like what?
All right. Oh, it's good. We love it, Crystal. So posters.
See, that's
I
a
love
good
the poster.
poster.
It is.
I
a
mean,
Yeah.
good
look
poster.
at that.
Yeah.
That's what the movie should have been. He should have had a big skull face, and he ate little dinghies, and it was just nothing
Yep.
but a big giant ship eating dinghies.
You know, I do want to talk about the little red sandbox they were floating around in.
Yeah, what in the hell was that?
That cracked me up. And then, okay, you guys tell me, maybe you weren't paying
So
that close
weird.
of attention.
Okay, I know exactly what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Okay, the first time we see it, right? I swear, George Kennedy is on that boat laying down, and you see him like from the back, his head, you see the epaulets on his white coat, you know, it's an officer. And the next shot, same thing. The next shot, he's no longer there. And a couple minutes later, he comes up from the ocean depths.
Yeah, like Godzilla.
30 stories high.
Yeah.
Somebody cut that wrong and never noticed it all these years. I mean,
it makes no sense. Like at the first question, I'd be like, it's like, how long can you hold your breath? Because we've been like obviously sweltering on this sandbox here for hours or days, and suddenly out of nowhere, you pop up with a fish in your mouth and half dead, and we drag you on the boat. It made absolutely no sense. I'm thinking, oh, so he's already dead. I'd forgotten so much about this movie. I really thought maybe George Kennedy was a fishman or something at this point.
But it makes a little bit more sense if when they first show him coming up, if that was the first scene in the sandbox. I couldn't think of anything but a sandbox. Just this square flat bottom thing that for some reason was floating perfectly with like 8 or 9 people on it. You know?
Also, so this is a cruise ship. Presumably there were hundreds of people on board, then we only saw 10. And these are the only survivors?
That's what I thought. I thought as soon as they made the cut from the cruise ship, you know, these 5 or 6 people come floating out of nowhere. I'm like, where's everybody else? I know these can't be the only survivors. But sure enough.
Well, and that ship went down like that. I mean, we see the water gushing in from the side and the 2 guys swimming in the hold. Hurry up, it's going down fast. And boom, we see the very last little in the water. Just that's the cut.
If Shelley Winters and Red Buttons were on that ship, a lot more people would have got out.
That's right.
No kidding. No kidding. So anyway, yeah, that's a good poster, and it makes it look like they're actually in a real life raft.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah. That was not the case. All right. And we have another poster.
What?
This was some ad supplement. This is an ad supplement they sent out to try to get people to come see our movie. Here's a scene that's not in it.
Oh, wait a minute.
And
there was that place where they went down where they had the guy in the barrel, and there was some skull faces like that.
Well, there's the ship.
That is not a good. I mean, you barely see that. This is the worst example of this film is though.
Here,
the days before Photoshop, just had to use an X-Acto knife and a marker.
Avco industry, yeah. Okay.
What in the living hell is on board? Did you get that tagline?
Yeah, he did.
I'm just kidding.
He might have embellished it a little bit.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, a little.
All right, so we mentioned Jack Hill, and this is
Jack Hill. Jack Hill did some great stuff. Jack Hill, Roger Corman protege. He's one of the many. I think everyone but me got to work on The Terror, trying to hammer that thing into something coherent. He did probably the best version, although it's the only one that nobody can find, of Bloodbath, which is an absolutely amazing story about how Roger Corman took a Czechoslovakian movie and made 5 movies out of it. Spider Baby is just one of the best things ever done.
Yeah.
You just can't go wrong. Snake People. So he has the distinction of having done Boris Karloff's last few movies in Mexico, where, you know, the king was just, he would sit in his wheelchair, sucking on oxygen, stand up, do a few lines, collapse back in the chair and go on oxygen. Karloff worked up to like the last day of his life, and they're not good movies, but hey, it was Karloff. And then a couple that got some attention: Foxy Brown, Switchblade Sisters.
Foxy Brown is a huge, like that's
Yeah, he
Crazy.
did
Yeah,
all
that was a
kinds
big
of stuff
blaxploitation. Yeah.
and never really got, I think, the credit he deserved. Didn't make that breakthrough into mainstream movies, although he clearly had the talent to do it. But I'll bet
Yeah, I
this is
think
not high
he-
on his resume.
I was thinking did he direct Spider Baby too?
Mhm.
Yeah. that's what
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
thinking.
yeah.
We did that. We covered that on
I love Spider Baby.
Classic Era. Oh, it's an amazing cast.
Great movie.
Lon Chaney Jr. and I'm blanking on what a Rob Zombie's regulars.
Oh, Sid Haig.
Sid Haig, yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh,
yeah.
That's it.
terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. What would Jack Hill's Death Ship have been like? It would have been better than this. Probably would have been even much lower budget. I can't imagine Jack Hill would have blown $4.5 million on this. Man.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the money went, quite frankly. I hope all the actors were well compensated. You know, you
Yeah,
would think a ship should be a scary setting for a horror movie because you're
Mhm.
trapped on
It's
it. You got
claustrophobic.
nowhere to go.
Well, also ships are small. Like everything is
Yeah.
smaller and more claustrophobic. Like you know
Right.
the hulls and everything. Like
Yeah,
it didn't feel that way on this ship though.
I called shenanigans on that one room they were in where
Yeah.
the kids were I don't remember what was happening, but there was a big table and then there was beds around the wall. No, there's no way. There was no way
Mhm.
there was that much walking around room
Yeah.
on a Nazi.
Torture
No.
ship.
I mean, I've been on,
Right.
freaking naval ships and stuff. And like you have like only one person can usually stand up at a time in the little walkway.
Right,
And you
right.
have beds just on every side. It's like crazy.
I did
Yeah.
a tour of the Midway and I got a tour of a submarine when a friend of ours got command of the submarine. So we were invited to the change of command ceremony and got a tour of a submarine, which was really awesome. But yeah.
Not a lot
Yeah,
of
There was
I
this,
know.
there was a guy there that was taller than me, and I said, I thought they had limits on height in the for submariners, and he goes, no, not really. You just have to learn where the spots are you can stand. And there weren't very many, but anyway. Well, tangent number one. Yeah, it's kind of surprising.
Mhm.
But George Kennedy, I just feel like I kind of think he was directed this way because he's not like that in any other movie I've ever seen him in.
Yeah.
He just was
Yeah, I agree.
the
Still a
stiff
bad
wooden-
choice.
Yeah.
None of his lines were any good. So, I mean, even if he decided to act his heart out, he can only do with what you're given. And he wasn't given much.
So this is another thing I wanted to bring up in that where he takes Richard Crenna's wife, Sally Ann House, and locks her in that room. Okay. That room was the steel chamber that contains the anchor chain. When they reel the anchor up, you could see the chain
Okay.
kind of
Mhm.
coming in on the top. And that's a great scene in Val Lewton's Ghost Ship from the 40s. The captain shuts the door on a guy who's in there, and his job is to kind of keep it coming in, starting straight. But then he's supposed to get out of there when
Yeah.
it starts to fill up. Well, the captain shuts the door on him, and you can't get out from the inside, and the guy's killed by that. So I'm thinking, here she is. He puts her in there and locks it, and she's banging and yelling and stuff. And then all of a sudden, she's just free. We don't have any idea how the hell did she get out of there. She and her husband are running to each other for an embrace. It was just. I thought, whoa, they're building up a great scene here, and then nope.
Unlike you, the filmmakers had never seen Val Lewton. So,
yeah, and that may be true of whoever directed this, but yeah. Oh, and I thought it was kind of interesting when he was reading out of the Bible and they showed it and it was German.
Yeah.
That was kind of nice.
But I don't know. Even the top photo, it just looks like, hey guys, maybe we should flip this around so the sun's not my eyes. I don't know. I just feel like at a certain point he's like, just let me put in my weeks, cash the check, and skedaddle. His heart was
I mean,
not
it
in
could
this
have been
project.
a really nice payday. Yeah, it could have been, I mean.
I thought the same thing Jeff did. It would have been a lot better if he was a nice guy that
Yeah,
Mhm.
turned
grandfather.
into this. Yeah, and that would have been a tragedy at
Yeah.
least. No, but I don't know. I didn't care what happened to him at all. I was like, that's what you get.
I mean, he could have even been he could have been a nice guy going, oh, it's been a long career, but it's time for me to get out because this shit drives me nuts, without being a total ass about it.
Yeah.
Having to go to the dinner and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to little old ladies and stuff. Bah, humbug.
Yeah. I'm not going to the senior citizens party. All right.
There's some more fun things to watch, George.
Oh, we
Kennedy.
did Just Before Dawn. I forgot about that.
We sure did. And Creep Show 2. And if you like cats, and hey, who doesn't? The Uninvited. He's a fun actor. He didn't do a lot of horror movies, but he's always fun in everything he's in, except for this. But no one's having fun in this, so it's really not his fault.
Boy, he's a flat out asshole in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. It's been a long time since I saw that, and I forgot the people that were in there. But and it's funny because we just did. What am I trying to think of? Oh, so Nick Mancuso. We haven't got to him yet, but Nick Mancuso was the star of Nightwing, which we just did on 70s. Jeffrey Lewis is one of the stars of Moon of the Wolf, which we're doing tomorrow on
70s.
On 70s, and Jeffrey Lewis is in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. I know I was going to make a connection there somewhere, but that's a really sad movie. I'd forgotten how good that was and how much I liked it. But, George Kennedy is badass.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then of course Cool Hand Luke, where he's a lovable goof, in prison.
Same with Just Before Dawn. He played a nice.
Yeah. He was a nice.
I can't remember what he did in Creep Show. Was he the store owner for the Wooden Indian?
Oh boy, it's been so long.
I think he was the owner of the store. With
Richard Crenna. Who I know we've talked about him before.
Real McCoy.
Yeah, because I remember talking about Real McCoys when we were doing them.
He's just one of those comforting premise, actors that you see, comforting presence. I'm sure if I put up his IMDb right now, I'd see a gazillion.
He's in Leviathan, isn't he?
Yeah,
Leviathan.
Yeah.
Oh, Leviathan. Yes, Leviathan. Yeah, that's right.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorites.
Me too.
And then he was what was his name? Colonel Troutman on First Blood.
Rambo, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people remember him from.
A lot of modern day probably, but he is in some horror movies, I'm sure.
And he's adequate here. At least he's not a jerk, so he's the closest thing to a hero we have, likable. But
I think he's a decent actor because on the Real McCoys he plays a real sort of hick, character.
Yeah,
he was. He was in Wait Until Dark.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh yeah. I like how the ship snuck up on him, like a flipping ninja.
Oh, that shot. Yes.
Come on.
Oh
but when they do the little turning things, they make it seem like it's like.
Okay.
So, why is this movie?
So the only way that ship could get in that position without them knowing it is by materializing, because the anchor's down. You can't. I mean, you can't just. You couldn't float up to that without noticing that, because the ship really not moving at that point. It may be swaying back and forth on the end of the
It's a calm, clear day, so you could have seen it, I'm guessing, about 70 miles away coming up. Okay.
So he's got
Devil Dog, The Hound of Hell, and The Evil.
Oh, my God.
Yes,
The Evil. We did The Evil, and I love Devil Dog, The Hound of Hell, although I haven't seen it in about as long as I hadn't seen this one, so maybe I'm wrong.
TV movie.
Yep. Curtis Harrington, I believe, directed that.
Yvette Mimieux.
Well, it's better than Snow Beast. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he has done a few horror flicks.
He's got an everyman quality to him. He works. He does well.
He does okay in this. I mean, what the heck?
Devil Dog. The dog has little horns on
Little
its head. I
horns,
swear to God, it's the greatest thing. We'll have to do it sometime. Do a double feature: Devil Dog and the Cat Creature with Meredith Baxter Birney.
La 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 la.
He does decent in here, but I'm a little surprised that was a bold stroke to throw your kids overboard by themselves, knowing that you weren't going to be able to come right away.
Right. Might be Nazi sharks out there or something.
Yeah. All right, Nick Mancuso.
He reminds me of Thomas Jane. Does he remind anyone else of Thomas Jane?
A little bit.
Sure.
A little bit, yeah.
Here's one of two scenes I remembered from this movie, which is,
You didn't like
get
that.
a little bit of horror.
It's
messy.
Where he's screaming.
Well, I don't know. I guess it was just not exactly this scene. I can see it in this scene, but the scene where he's the projection is showing the movie and it's switching to like the Nazi newsreel footage and stuff, and he's against the wall or screaming like it's burning him or something. It was just weird.
Yeah, I mean, he's acting okay in this scene because that did look genuinely nasty.
Yeah, that was nasty. Yeah,
you could almost smell it.
Well, he seemed like he had some kind of PTSD or something, right? That's what I felt like. Only they don't give you any reason to think.
No reason to think that. But that's
over the top.
That's a good character point. That would have been actually pretty good.
There's a lot of things they could have done with these characters to make them more interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
But I love Nick Mancuso. The first thing I ever saw him in was Nightwing, and I love Nightwing, and so I don't know. It's not just a singular problem with him. It's all the actors. They just didn't have. They had nothing really to work with, and
the one thing that was really unbelievable was the interaction between him and the woman at the party. He had the mask on and she was dancing around, and
was it? So wait, okay, that's one part that's not improbable to me. Do you know how many people have sex with each other on cruise ships?
I didn't say having sex. It was the way that they were acting and being carefree. Her laugh, that just seemed
like they're like,
just
okay,
like you're trying too hard, kind of thing.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of. I gotta say, there were a lot of parties on the cruise ship in February that people were like that, and actually the staff is like meant to hype it up, so they act over the top too. I mean, I do see your point. I was like, but that's the one part of the movie I had the least problem with. I guess that's really why I'm like, well,
and we have to bring this up because we did before, right? He was the phone voice of the Prowler in Black Christmas.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Almost forgot about that.
He was creepy as hell in that role.
So yeah, he's okay in this. I think it seemed more realistic once they got off the dance floor. I guess that just seemed. But I can see where you're at in terms of the people trying to hype it. Saul Rubinek was sure trying to hype stuff, and he continues to try to hype it on the Ghost Ship, but the Ghost Ship wasn't having anything to do with it.
But here's part of it too. I will be honest with you. That captain, George Kennedy, as he was, he wouldn't have made it to captain like that. They wouldn't have kept him like that. No. Because like he said, he's bad with people, and they do expect the captain to put on these airs and to be friendly with people and to do these dinners and to do, because, you know, people apparently like that. I did not give a damn about any of that stuff.
Well, I think
you're
But-
right.
They
But
did say
some of
that.
it's
though.
political. Some of it's political, though. It's just like in the military. He would have not kept his position
Not
for as
not
long
for
as
this.
he had
If,
it.
if
There's
it
no
was
way.
wartime and
Mm-mm.
he was really good at captaining a ship,
Oh,
but
that's different.
this is a cruise
Sure.
ship. He's not
That's what I mean.
navigating the
Yeah.
dangerous shoals of Alexandria or anything. He's just got to get it from port A to port B and dump
Yep.
almost as many bodies off as he started out with. So
I don't know how he got the job, but Crenna does tell him, you didn't get pushed into retirement. You got fired because you hate people or something like that.
Okay.
There was
Yeah.
just this one line in there where they were having a little bit of a disagreement. So here's what Bill calls the scary stuff.
yeah, I found 2 pictures. Yep. Skeleton with bad teeth and a woman with leprosy.
I don't know. She got that while she was watching the movie, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting a little itchy watching this movie too. So
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that movie with the dancing girls on the piano with the bars of music behind them pretending to be instruments. I thought
Yeah.
it was hilarious.
Oh yeah. Oh, those old pre-code musicals can be a blast. If you ever get a chance, I recommend this to everyone I know. Try to find a movie called Madam Satan.
I've heard of that.
It is.
Actually,
It's the best, Crystal. Oh, you would totally love it. The costumes make
Madam
Lady
Satan.
Gaga hang her head in shame. They're so awesome. And it's completely mental. It's pre-code, so everybody's like living in sin. And it's absolutely gorgeous, but it's in black and white, even though they shot it in Technicolor because they're stupid. But
'Cause there's-
yeah,
Technicolor.
but it's so random. Like there's a scene where they got to announce that it's, I guess, 10 o'clock or something. And there's a lot of ways you could do that. But what they have is a bunch of women who are dressed up as clocks and their hands are like hammers and they just bang themselves on the head to announce that it's 10 o'clock. They're on for like 5 seconds and then we just go on and everyone just goes about their business pretending they didn't just see that. I love those
That
movies.
sounds super weird.
Yeah.
But sounds like something I'd like.
Mhm.
Like, you know.
Well, I actually found it on, I think it was on Daily Motion. In the trivia, it said what it was called. Something like everyone needs rhythm or something like that. Or everyone.
The movies they made to make everyone forget there was the Depression.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
That's depressing.
Oh, yeah. It was Everything is Rhythm. That was the name of it. It's only a 3-minute little thing.
Oh.
And then lastly, we have
The scene I remembered the most.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I
according-
do think some of it is cool. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
just
you're saying she's over the top, but Crystal, did you
Yeah,
did you read the trivia that Jeff put up there that supposedly the producers told her that they were using real blood and she believed it? Now suddenly her reaction
Okay.
makes a whole lot of sense.
no, it doesn't.
Her reaction should be to call her agent and get her
Like,
off this picture.
Actually, here's the thing. It's like, well, that's disgusting because of disease. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really look,
Yes, it
I
is.
love
Yes,
blood.
it is.
I love blood. But blood play is disgusting because you have to worry about diseases. So like
Yeah.
obviously you can't use real blood. But I would automatically know by the look of this shitty this freaking stuff that it's not real blood.
Well-
and there's a smell. Has I can smell and I can tell the difference between animal blood and human blood. Like there is absolutely a difference. I could tell when my dogs are bleeding because I could smell it. There's totally a different smell. You would know immediately that was not blood. I'm just saying.
You
So-
know more about blood than the average person.
That might be true. I do have a good sense of smell too, but
I do
I
agree
used
with
to.
I think it was Crystal or whoever talked about how Nick Mancuso's attempt to break the shower door. I'm like,
oh yeah.
that was ridiculous. I
Yeah,
mean, I thought
yeah.
he went and ripped that
know.
board off the bed, but then he
Right.
literally just banged it on the bulkhead, probably because he didn't
Yeah.
really want to break it.
Yeah.
And then gives up and runs to get help. Now, what is this? A bulletproof shower door? I mean, what the hell?
I thought it was going to be one
I-
of those
yeah.
things where the shower fills up with blood and she drowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
The drain wasn't plugged though.
Hmm.
All righty.
Yeah, it was weird.
So last time, we got to talk about the kids. That one kid, he had to go pee all the time. The little boy.
Yeah.
And I thought that
His
one
sister
scene,
had to go with him. Like he could.
Yeah.
He's
when they first got on the ship, he runs out around some piece of equipment and you see the stream coming out from behind it. And then when she grabs him, it says, "Come on." When they turn around, you can see them both trying to keep from laughing.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, they were going potty jokes.
That's funny, actually. That
Um,
makes it better.
Now, did this came out after Poseidon Adventure, right?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't that a joke in Poseidon Adventure 2? The little boy is looking for a toilet and then he finds it and it's all upside down.
I don't know. I haven't watched it that many
I
times.
haven't seen that in years.
Also, the only thing that really impressed me about this film that I hadn't remembered was I was like, oh, wow, actually, considering what a low budget is, the scene where the ships collide and we see the piano flying and everything were pretty good. But I guess that was all from another movie.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Mm.
It said it was a movie called The Last Voyage, which was fairly, like 1960 or something like that. Unless there may well be more than one movie called The Last Voyage. Any other comments here?
I'm sorry. I'll pick a better one next time.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I am sad that I had to watch it again. But had I not watched it just several months ago,
I'm
I
not
would have
sad.
been like, oh,
It got me thinking of Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, so I went and watched that.
Well, there you go. So some good
That's
came
fun.
of it.
hmm
This horse is dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what,
Well-
though? I bet you there's someone out there that liked it. So
Oh,
I'm sure
let
there
us
is.
know.
I'm sure
Listen.
there is.
Let us
Every
know why you
movie
have
is
such
someone's
bad taste.
favorite movie.
Come on.
Somewhere there's somebody out there. He's got a poster. He's got like a shrine to Fury of the Wolfman. It's true.
And that's cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
You freak.
I mean, yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Uh-oh.
I got nothing.
Who did that? Robert Baker suggested it at one point.
Oh, really? Well, I'm going to blame you, Robert Baker, for putting that idea in my head.
Well, I think he's probably a George Kennedy fan because I think he also
yeah.
suggested Just Before Dawn.
I'm a George Kennedy fan. I'm going to recommend nobody watch this film. That's how much of a George Kennedy fan I am.
But don't
want
take
them
it bad, Robert.
Nah, we love you, man.
We absolutely we do. All right. Well, I think that's it for the death.
Oh,
Ship.
yeah.
Oh,
But-
thank God.
We do have feedback.
Yay.
Boy, we got feedback. And Lone Wolf is back.
Oh, wow. That's
Haven't heard from Lone Wolf for a while. So let's see who goes first. We'll do Chad, episode 252, Conan the Barbarian.
Let me get down to it here.
Feedback.
Lone Wolf says, easily one of Arnold's best films, top 5 for me. I watched this with my dad on TBS during the early 90s, and I was in awe of the swords and muscles and James Earl Jones rocking a hairstyle similar to Courtney Cox's hair in Scream 3. R.I.P. or James Earl Jones.
yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
timely.
Arnold was still working on his acting, but you can't deny his presence. And for some actors, that's all they needed to get by in showbiz. Very true. My favorite line in the film is when Conan sits by the fire and says, "Ha! Crom laughs at your four winds." Love you guys as always. Nice sword, Crystal.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Nice sword, Crystal. Thanks, Lone Wolf. Oh,
Yeah.
and here's another one from Lone Wolf. Episode 255, The Beastmaster. Who wants that, Bill or Crystal?
I'll take it.
Whichever. There you go.
Okay, so Lone Wolf says of the Beastmaster, like many, I watched the Beastmaster when I was a kid. My first experience was with my dad, and we saw it on TBS, also known as the Beastmaster Station. The animals are the obvious highlight of the film. My favorite was the tiger because I watched He-Man during my childhood and loved the idea of having a tiger at my side. You can keep your thieving ferrets and eagles. I have the biggest, baddest animal that nobody messes with. I agree with Jeff. Go ahead.
No, keep going. I was going to say, wasn't HBO? Hey,
Beastmaster is on.
so TBS was too.
Yep. TBS is always on TBS.
This movie, we all got to see this movie. I agree with Jeff that Tanya Roberts was better in Tourist Trap and also as Midge in that 70s show. I remember John Amos as the dad in Coming to America, owning McDonald's ripoff fast food chain. He's the best actor in Beastmaster for sure. And what more can be said about Rip Torn? R.I.P. to Rip, and also to Tanya Roberts. Yeah. The Beastmaster isn't quite Conan the Barbarian, but it holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, we all have those movies.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Now, who's the next person we hear from? Oh, my God, it's Lone Wolf again.
It's Lone Wolf.
Hey.
It's so good to have you back, Lone Wolf.
Yeah, man.
Crystal, episode 256, House.
Pretty solid movie that I'd expect from Steve Miner. He is the king of solid 80-minute movies. House had one of those box covers you saw in every video rental store. After watching it, I love the PTS story angle of William Katt's character. Although, I must say that a certain film in 1990 did a much better job of it. A film that concerns a guy by the name of Jacob. Are we talking about Jacob's Ladder?
Jacob's Ladder, yeah.
Yeah, which is phenomenal, obviously. But it's also a lot more. It's just a totally different movie, though, too. Okay. You guys mentioned Godzilla during the Steve Miner segment of the podcast, and it made me wonder if you'll one day review Godzilla 1985, also known as Return of Godzilla. I believe Pluto had a ton of Godzilla films. If you can't, then it was worth a shot.
I'll be happy to do Godzilla.
I'll leave it to the Godzilla.
Oops,
yeah.
Sorry.
If we can, I think we probably will. Yeah.
That's really Bill. Bill's a big kaiju fan. I mean,
it's not my favorite Godzilla film, but the worst Godzilla film is better than most of the best non-Godzilla films. So yeah, we'll do that one for sure.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and now. Episode 260, The Boogeyman.
For something completely different.
Chad from Lone Wolf.
Lone Wolf says, for The Boogeyman, couldn't stop laughing at this wild episode. Love you guys. I have no interest in The Boogeyman. As the late, great Jim Kelly said in Enter the Dragon, I think I'll pass.
Good move. Episode 264, Bill, for Parents.
From Travis McDonald, 6576. Parents is a solid effort, but definitely an acquired taste. Oh, I see what you did there. Randy Quaid was great in this, proving that as an actor, he's more than Cousin Eddie. My real introduction to this movie was courtesy of the very short-lived Comedy Central show Drive-In Reviews, hosted by Buzz Killman and Tony Fitzpatrick, a show that aired briefly in late 1993. They focused on obscure and low-budget horror flicks, and Parents was one of them. I think I would have enjoyed that show. Mm-hmm. Great job, as always. Keep up the gruesomely awesome work. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Travis. I need to go see if
I need to look this up
somewhere.
Yeah.
And Crystal, episode 265, Enigma, from Robert Baker.
This is one of those don't love it, don't hate it movies for me. I do watch it every once in a while, though, because it's a Fulci. I find Fulci films of this era. I find Fulci films of this era of his career kind of sad. Yeah, because we know how ill he was becoming. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, New York Ripper had been so reviled. I read once that he had a hard time finding any producer willing to give him money for any other film. So he just wasn't in a good place professionally or personally. That is devastating. Yeah. It's crazy that someone can just
you do one crazy movie and they just go.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's like you're only, it really is true. You're only as good as one of the bonus features on the Beyond Blu-ray has footage from the American convention he attended in the 90s, as you folks mentioned. You can see how this make me sad. You can see how moved he was as he interacted with the crowd, talking and signing things for his fans. It's well worth checking out if you can find it. I checked, but at the time I'm writing this, it isn't on YouTube, sadly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is. I mean, and it is a sad. He came to a kind of a sad ending, but I am glad that he got to that convention because he was genuinely surprised that he had much of a reputation in America and that people there were Fulci fans. So at least he got to see that. I wish he could have hung on a little bit longer and really reaped the benefits, but yeah, he was quite sick toward the end. It was a real struggle. And I got to find that DVD.
All right. Thank you, Robert. And then the last one is episode 266, Extra, from Travis McDonald. Where are we at? We back to Chad?
Yeah.
Travis says, as one of the culprits that recommended Extra, I would like to thank the crew for reviewing it. The addition of Dirk was great for this one. Extra is odd and bonkers, which is part of its charm. This is far from a classic, but it's pure 80s video rental kitsch. But please avoid the sequels at all costs. They make the Ghoulies series look like Leon's Dollars trilogy.
Wow.
Always a blast to listen to you guys. Your efforts are much appreciated. And all the best. Thanks, Travis.
And then we have a bunch of short ones for Extra. You want me to just do those?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first one is Santos de Castillo. And he and Travis were chatting back and forth on one of the comment threads and saying Extra would be a great movie to do. So I'm glad he checked back in. Yes, Extra day arrived. Did not disappoint. Smiley face and okay emoji. And then some guy named Thunderhead Jones. We haven't heard from him for a while. Chad actually watched the right movie this time. What a maroon.
Oh,
man, I hate that
guy.
And then Jose says,
Yay!
I know we rented this one on VHS when I was a freshman in high school. I remember only the Vegas things, however.
Well, yeah.
That happens. Yeah. Not really memorable. So, and then Emulous 79. I saw this on video as a kid and felt kind of funny afterwards.
Because it's uncomfortable. No, the way this film ends, it's uncomfortable. Like what happens to the boy and everything. It's weird.
It depends on which version.
Well, fair enough. Yeah.
And then lastly, from Joel Bartolomeo we're on Enigma still, right? No, we're on Extra.
Yeah.
Extra.
Oh, Extra, yeah.
Extra, right? Where are we at? Bill?
Okay. Joel says, one of my all-time favorites. This is one of those rentals from the corner mom and pop video stores. I had a finished basement growing up with big TV and stereo hookup. You were the man. So this was where a handful of us all watched those early 80s slasher and gore fests. Naturally, Faces of Death, Cannibal Holocaust, and all the Italian zombie flicks were on the menu. There was really only Fangoria magazine at the time. The rest of our choices are either by word of mouth or going by the video box art. Lots of discovery and surprises, good and bad. The anticipation once you pop that cassette in was unmatched. It was tough catching these under the radar type movies in theaters at the time. So my basement was the official screening room. You know, man, you can rest easily knowing that your basement provides memories for scores of your classmates at the time that has warped them for their entire lives. They're probably still chasing that dragon. That was, you were the man. Ah, boy. I wish I were your friend back then. I had to watch it on a tiny little TV. I would have loved a finished basement. I would have taken an unfinished basement with a big TV. That's cool.
All right.
It's always good to hear from Joel.
Yeah,
it is good to hear from Joel. Coming back, people take breaks from social media sometimes for different reasons, and we appreciate
lots of good reasons
that Joel returned and made a comment about Extra. And it's one of those, I have a feeling that's going to be one of the ones that's going to have a lot of downloads. It's odd to me what movies end up having the most downloads. It's not always the ones
Mm-hmm.
you would think it was. Like, people apparently have heard more than enough stuff about Nightmare on Elm Street because it's not very high in the downloads. So it's odd ones like this. All right. Well, there's plenty of ways to stay in touch. Thanks to everybody for their comments.
Yes.
Joel,
That's
Emulous, Jose, Thunderhead, Santos, Travis, Robert Baker, and Lone Wolf. We're so glad to have you back.
Thunderhead.
Anyway,
Screw you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right. So there's plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or leave comments on Gruesome Magazine's YouTube channel, or you can make some comments on Gruesome Magazine's H&R and DOH podcast Facebook group. Well, Grue believers, that's it for this episode, but every 2 weeks we'll focus on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up is one chosen by Crystal. What are we doing, Crystal?
Oh, yes. It's prom night. Yay.
Jamie Lee Curtis, one of like 3 or 4. Like, she just kicked it, starting with Halloween there for about 3 years.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis so much. I'd watch her in a movie with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy.
Too. Yep.
Really? Okay.
Well, I mean, I think she'd be hilarious with Eddie Murphy. Dan Aykroyd, I don't know. He's hit or miss for me. Sometimes he's kind of funny, then he's just,
Crystal, are you being serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's talking about
Sorry.
Trading Places.
They were in a movie
Oh,
This is
my
going to be
bad.
an edit fest here.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's
No,
all
no,
right.
it's okay. I
Save
don't
that one
know.
for the blooper
I
reel.
haven't seen that movie, so I don't know what.
Well, we
I
all
don't- I
saw it
watch
because
horror,
Jamie Lee
yeah.
Curtis does a nude scene, so we
Oh
we
yeah. So
couldn't
that-
miss that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
Well, that makes sense.
Chad watched it many times, or at least one scene many times.
I did.
All right.
I-
Well,
Over and over and over again.
join
can't
us
believe I
again in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Thanks to everybody that stuck through to the end. Thanks to Crystal, Chad, and Bill. Bill,
Thank
hope
you.
you're feeling better.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, Bill.
say goodnight.
Sorry.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Good night.